Hello, welcome back. Dip a little bit different episode tonight. Just me and Joe for that Millwall podcast, episode 13 of the 2022-23 campaign. Joining me tonight is Joe. How are you, mate?
Hi, Kai. How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm all good, man. I'm all good. It's a bit strange, isn't it? There's just us two tonight.
Well, that's it. I mean, today's is Wednesday, and the news broke out earlier today that Thomas Tuchel got the sack at Chelsea. The reason why Mickey is not here and Omar's not here because Mickey's been offered the job at Chelsea. He's on his way down in now to have discussions with the chairman. Omar's driving him down there, and it just leaves me and you to run the show. So it's now called the Joe Zampa and Kai Bennett show. We've now renamed it.
Oh, I love that. But yeah, today we're going to be talking a little bit about Cardiff, touch a little bit at the end on Sunderland away on the weekend. So yeah, we're back just after this little break. Welcome back to part one of the That Mill podcast, episode 13 of the 2022-23 campaign. Let's start off with Cardiff, Joe, shall we? 2-0 win, back to winning ways, first win in 4. Got a great day, wasn't it?
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, it's one of those sort of games, I think you're approaching it with a little bit of nervousness and anticipation at the start. You're thinking, well, here we go. It's a must-win game. Morrison's down, along with Marlon Romeo and, of course, Ojo as well. So you desperately don't want to lose. You're hoping to get a win. And then the question mark was like, is Rowett going to play 4 at the back? Is he going to play 5 at the back? Is Harry Styles going to start? Is he going to be on the bench? If he does start, where's he going to play? And he started him as a left wing back in favour of Scott Malone, unfortunately. So Malone dropped out. And he didn't disappoint, did he, Kai? I thought he played absolutely brilliantly on his debut and made himself a man of match performance.
No, I agree, mate. Harry Styles was excellent.
You got to go straight face now, Kai. Come on.
He was good. He was good. Oh, he was brilliant, wasn't he? I mean, left wing back position. I think a lot of us sort of wondered whether maybe he'd keep Murray Wallace in there, like he did against Burnley, and maybe give Callum Styles a little bit more time to settle in, because obviously only signed on the Thursday evening, and then only settled in Friday morning. So, but straight into the thick of it, wasn't he? Up against former Millwall right back Marlon Romeo. How did you think he dealt with that battle down the right?
Yeah, it's quite an interesting battle, that wasn't it? I saw it the same way as you did. I saw it as as Styles versus Romeo, and for different reasons. Styles looking at it as his debut, so emotionally, I'm sure he's going to be quite tense and doesn't want to put a foot wrong. He wants to impress and show the Millwall crowd what he's about. And then on the flip side of that, you've got Marlon Romeo returning to the den. Wants to silence the fans. He wants to kind of put a good performance, hopefully get a win, get a goal against us, whatever. And there was a real kind of fierce battle between the both of them, and it was quite nice the way how the battle sort of progressed. One thing I must say is I do think Callum, aka Harry, handled it a lot better than Marlon. I thought Marlon handled it really well in the first half, but he kind of lost it towards the end, didn't he? And unfortunately for him, it kind of affected his game. But I thought Callum Styles was absolutely brilliant and showed the quality that we've been desperately missing, certainly on that left-hand side, for a very, very long time.
And I think it was Callum Styles that was, I think it was the first half this happened. There was a tackle where Marlon got a yellow card in the second half as well. But could that tackle in the first half, who I believe was on Callum Styles, could that have been yellow card perhaps?
100%. I'm not sure how early in the game it was, but I was thinking to myself at the time, because I sat literally right in front of it. I did think to myself, that's a yellow. But I did think, well, it's fairly early in the game. Maybe it's his first sort of foul. Referee kind of let it go. But you're right. I think had that been any other time during the game, who knows? That could have been a yellow card. And as you say, you've got a second yellow card. Well, a first yellow card should have been a second yellow card, second half. So we could have seen him walk off the pitch. But no, I thought it was a great debut from Callum. Really impressed with him. Loved his attitude. Loved the way he sort of fitted into our sort of system, and certainly kind of almost energized and helped everyone else along, kind of improve the morale, amongst the team, because everyone seemed much more confident hitting that ball about, didn't they? What's your thoughts on Billy Mitchell starting, coming back into the team, Kai?
No, I was really pleased when Billy was announced that he's back. They announced Billy was back in the team. I thought, I think Billy, especially first couple of games this season. I thought Billy had a great season last season, by the way. I thought he was brilliant. But first couple of games, he just looked like he was a little bit short confidence, maybe a little bit of rest. And, he's been out of the team for a couple of games now. But I thought against Cardiff, he comes in and I think he's probably the most composed on the ball in the Millwall team. He just, when he gets that ball, he doesn't look like he's going to lose it. He looks like he's going to take that touch. He's going to play a nice pass out wide. And he played some nice passes, didn't he? He got forward well. And it was a much better, it was much more like the Billy Mitchell we saw last season, controlled, composed and disciplined on the ball. So, yeah, I was really impressed with him.
Yeah, no, I echo that actually. I thought you actually spot on there. One thing I think he also gives us, which again I think goes a little bit unnoticed, he gives us that little bit of physical presence in midfield, doesn't he? I think defensively, in that role, he seems to. So I got my dog arguing the dogs next door's garden. So try ignore that, guys. No, he. I was trying to thought there. Sorry, he's very good at intercepting the passes for the opposition. He's good at breaking down play, retaining possession, and then kind of gives it to the better player, if you like, a better quality player. But he does a really good job for us. I did think the second half when I saw the substitutions going on, whether it be him that will come off, and I was hoping he wouldn't be, because if Honeyman comes on for him, you do look at our midfield and think yourself, we do look quite small in midfield. We don't look like we're that strong, physically. And Rowett sort of did real well to keep him on the pitch, didn't he?
Yeah, no, he did. Yeah, he did. We touched on the return of Marlon Romeo. Obviously, the big one was Steve Morrison, wasn't it? 92 goals in 336 appearances for the Lions over 3 separate spells. When he comes back to the Den, obviously he's a bit of a legend, isn't he? At Millwall, he's one of the greats. He scored plenty of great, really important goals for us. Obviously, one in at the playoffs final at Wembley a couple of seasons ago, which sent us back to the Championship. Is sticks in the mind. But let's talk about another return. There actually was another one we forgot about. We forgot about Ryan Alsop before we completely forgot about him. But we'll touch on Ojo because he was the one, obviously, from last season. He hit the post in the first half, didn't he? But he got withdrawn at half time. So do you think maybe he just couldn't, maybe it got to him a little bit too much to return, and he couldn't quite deliver what he maybe can do?
I don't know. I think with Ojo, what you see is what you get a little bit with him. I mean, I've heard a lot of Mill supporters mention about how he was kind of unnoticed, and some of them made comments saying that they didn't realise he was playing. But I thought he did okay. I mean, he got the ball a few times. He sort of ran into the channels. He obviously hit the post with that chance he had, and I think he was okay. But he's never really been that effective. Even when we had him on loan last season, there's been glimpses of him where he's sort of come on and done quite well. Maybe got an assist for a couple of our goals, but he's never really sort of turned it on consistently. And he was pretty much the same on Saturday for Cardiff, unfortunately for them. A bit surprised seeing him come off at half time. I thought it was a little bit early, but obviously Morrison saw something in their style of play that wasn't quite working. And to be fair, it did kind of work for them the first sort of 10 minutes, second half, didn't it? The player they brought on, who I can't remember what his name is, I'm sure you know who he is. But he seemed to make a difference for them. I think he kind of got into the left channels quite a bit. Start second half, he had a very good chance to score as well, and he looked quite effective. But then he kind of died off and went very quiet, didn't he, after sort of 10 minutes or so?
No, he did. Callum Robinson, one of their deadline day signing from West Brom. But in the first half, that's why we were discussing this before, at half time, that we had all that good work in the first half where we looked dominant. We were the ones that were going to score. As it's been in the last couple of games, Burnley stick comes to mind when I think of this sort of stuff, where we've had a couple of chances and then Burnley hit us on the break and they score a goal and then dominate from there. Cardiff was very nearly like that, wasn't it? All of our good work was very nearly undone by a little lapse in concentration. But on Saturday, that maybe that luck, and we deserved that bit of luck, didn't we?
Yeah, and again, you can't help but feel that it wasn't too long ago against Reading, where it was a very similar situation where, I felt we were on top, we were pressing, we were trying to create chances, make things happen. And again, on the break, they scored. And once they score, as we've seen from time and time again, it's very hard, especially at home, for us to kind of break teams down and get back into it. So disappointed to go at 0-0 at half time. And I did feel we deserved to be 1-0 up. But then you always felt there was a goal in it, and it's one of those sort of cases where whoever scores first will probably go on to win. And luckily for us, we got the goal. And quite interesting, really quite lucky for us how the goal came about. Because of course, if it wasn't for Hutchinson's injury, Cresswell wouldn't have been on the pitch, would he?
No, exactly. Cresswell obviously comes on and he gets a goal and an assist. We'll touch on him a little bit later, but we'll start off with Jamie Shackleton.
Yes.
Obviously in at right back. I thought he had a really tough battle, didn't he? Especially in that first half. I think his name was Jaden Philogene from Villa. He's on loan from Villa. And his header just glanced past the post, didn't it, in the first half? He's quite an exciting youngster, and Jamie Shackleton seemed to deal with him quite well, didn't he?
I think so, yeah. I mean, again, Shax is a fairly kind of smallish guy, isn't he? So you do question and wonder, is he going to cope physically with these players? But he seems to be busy. He seems to kind of give as good as he gets, doesn't he? And there's a few battles going on. There was a couple of times, I think even in the second half in particular, I saw him in a far corner where he was put under a bit of pressure at times, and there's probably 2 or 3 Cardiff players pressing him, and he seems to kind of win the ball and comes out almost with the ball. You think, how the hell does he do that? You just wish when you think he's going to lose it, he just somehow, he's got a low sense of gravity. I'm not sure what it is, but he seems kind of like retrieve the ball and sort of comes out looking like, nothing to panic here. I've got this under control. He's a very similar player to McNamara in that position where, both McNamara and him are quite lively, quite energetic, like getting amongst it. But I don't know whether it's a confidence thing or not. I just felt that Shaq seemed a little bit more assertive, a bit more kind of confident on the ball. Again, his touch, his positioning sense, his distribution seemed very, very good. And especially in that second half when Cresswell came on, you kind of got the old friendship there with Cresswell and Shax playing quite close together. And you see them talking quite often to each other. And a couple of times when the Cardiff player, I'm not sure who he was giving Shax a bit of a hard time and going quite hard into a couple of times, you can see like his big brother Cresswell behind him, sort of coming in and giving a bit of muscle himself and kind of protecting Shax a little bit. So the chemistry worked quite nicely on that side. You kind of always get a nice sort of balance, don't you, between them all. But no, it was impressive. Whether or not McNamara starts against Sunderland or whether Shax keeps the position, who knows? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it's difficult, isn't it? I think Shackleton, when I saw him on the team sheet, I wasn't ultimately, ultra surprised, but I wasn't, I did feel a bit disappointed as well because obviously Danny is one of our own, isn't it? And it'd be nice if he'd get back up to the heights he was last year. But one thing I will say about Jamie Shackleton is he played about 16 games for Leeds last year, I think, at right wing back, in the absence of Luke Ayling. So he's definitely got that experience at right wing back. He's got that Premier League experience at right wing back, which could be really crucial this year if maybe Danny's a little bit off it, and we need to put someone in there to liven it up while Leonard's maybe out. So no, I thought he did really well. I expect Danny probably to come back into the side, whether that's on Saturday or at some point. I'm sure he'll work his way back into the side. But it's another 2, isn't it? Another 2 signings, Fleming and Vogie. Liam Fleming just come back from injury. He was very good against Burnley. Was very good again on Saturday against Cardiff. Looked very confident player, isn't he? Likes to shoot from wherever he can. But that I think that's a positive, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's a player who, as we said before in previous shows, technically he's probably a level above most of the players in our squad. And what I like about him, he's not afraid to sort of turn it on. Like you say, he's not afraid to have a shot, try a scissor kick, or try a little flick or do something different. He's got a bit of flair about it, which I thought was quite nice to see. The only thing I kind of question a little bit is the tactics that Rowett was playing. He tends to want to play a 3 the last couple of games with Bradshaw, Fleming and Volsammer together. And maybe kind of gives the license to Fleming to drop into a 10, perhaps when we're defending. I'm not quite sure, even when we're attacking maybe. I think maybe we want some players as a 3 when we're defending to kind of keep their defenders at bay a little bit and then fold in. But hearing what Fleming said on the BBC London radio show that was on the other week, one of the questions that was asked is, where do you see yourself playing? Do you see yourself as a striker or attacking midfielder or a number 10? And he said straight away, attacking midfielder, number 10. That's where I want to play. I want to play in the lines, he said. I want to play facing the goal. I don't want to be playing my back to the goal and sort of like, battle with defenders. So surely you'd think these conversations would be taking place with Rowett on the training pitch or in one-to-one meetings and stuff. And I would love Rowett to kind of play him at number 10 a little bit more often, play him in between the lines where he'll have a little bit more time with the ball to again turn and make things happen, whether it be through balls or try and make things spark in that kind of area. I just feel that playing him far out on the right hand side or whatever it might be, yes, he could do a job for us. He's not absolutely blessed with pace, so he's never going to get behind like an Ollie Burkwood. And he can affect games in those areas. I'm not saying he can't play in that position, but I just feel that playing the number 10 behind the front two, linking with midfield, will probably suit him better and probably give us a better balance. What was your thoughts on Fleming? And also when we get to talk about him is Volsammer as well. I mean, do you feel he had a bit of a quiet game?
No, I think Volky probably did have a little bit of a quiet game. Sort of limped a little bit in the first half after a challenge. So I don't know. Maybe he just felt it a little bit. He doesn't sound like he's an injury concern for Saturday. There's been no reports of that, so hopefully he's absolutely fine. I thought Fleming was, once again, I thought he was good. He's lively, isn't he? He works hard. And when he's on the ball, he's almost like for example, last season and seasons before where Jeb Wallace gets on the ball, there's always that little thing going around the ground where, we feel like there's going to be something's going to happen here. And Zian Fleming is that player right now. Along with him and Tyler Bury, you can see that excitement when they get on the ball. And I think they're really exciting players for us. But as for Vogelsammer, I think it will calm me. It could finish yesterday in training. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter. Millwall posted a little video.
I did actually. Yeah, very good.
Fantastic finish. So hopefully he'll come good. Believe he will. He's got all the aspects and attributes to come good. But what would you do on? We'll touch a little bit on the front three for Saturday. Would you keep Voggy and Fleming in there, or would you change it up a little bit?
It's a tough one because going back to the point you mentioned about substitutions there. So I think there was about the 65th minute, wasn't it, when Phobie comes on, Bury comes on, Malone comes on. And these are three guys you can arguably say that were kind of dropped onto the bench, weren't they? They all started in the last couple of games. And I mean, a Phobie, for me, he really stood out. He battled, he won every header I could think of. He went about 5 or 6 headers and won every single header. He looked sharp. He looked like he was up for it. Obviously, his goal was fantastic, which was a pass from Cresswell? I think you said it was. Yeah. It was. So again, link up was really good. And the way he took it was fantastic. The confidence to take it to the byline, to cut into his left foot and dig it past the keeper was fantastic to see. Bury, for me, he did okay. I mean, again, with the ball at his feet, running at defenders, he's a defender's worst nightmare, isn't he? Because he's so good at doing it. He's good at sort of, playing in between sort of defenders and trying to make things happen. You're too scared to kind of touch him because he's going to go down and, you can give away a free kick or even a penalty. But I think there's some news on Bury as well, weren't there? You were telling me earlier about his injury.
Yeah, there was reports earlier saying that Tyler Bury will probably most likely miss Saturday's game against Sunderland. I think they said week to 10 days, a little bit of some bruising on his knee. Right. There could be some ligament damage there, but it's not serious. It's just a sort of miss of one game. But that does now make, as we're touching on injuries, 4 injured players for Millwall. Obviously, Mason Bennett was out for 8 weeks. He did that about 3.5, 4 weeks ago now. So probably got another 4 weeks left, something like that. Ryan Leonard is supposed to be out for 2 to 3 months, so he'll still have at least 2 months left of that. Obviously, Bury, as we said, a week to 10 days, and now added to the injury list as well is Sean Hutchinson, 3 to 4 weeks, groin injury. What would you? It's a shame, isn't it, to lose Hutch again?
It's a shame, yeah, because when Hutchinson was missing at the start of the season, we seemed to lack a little bit of leadership and calmness in defence, didn't we? And we're all over the place. You could tell by the goals we conceded. And just since we've had Hutch back in there again, suddenly we look a bit more composed, a bit more organised. I think Cooper plays better with him alongside him as well. He's a natural leader, and it kind of helps the rest of the defenders that are playing around him. However, this is another opportunity for Cresswell to come back in again now, isn't it? And Cresswell didn't look to do too much wrong on Saturday. I mean, if anything, he done really well. As you say, he got a goal, he got an assist. Defensively looked quite sure. I don't recall him kind of messing up or doing much wrong. I mean, it's a case of, can we get through the next sort of few weeks without Hutch and try and put on the kind of defensive displays, we know that this defence is more capable of doing even without Hutch in the side. So that would be the question that I'll be asking them, and hopefully on Saturday against Sunderland they can show us what they can do, and hopefully we can bring that tightness at the back again and not leak any goals.
Yeah, definitely a clean sheet. Second of the season for all the way back, dating all the way back to the first game of the season. So that's much better defensively. I think we've probably summed up pretty much everything to do with Cardiff. You got any final thoughts, Joe, on the game?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, on a whole, it was a great win. It's always great to beat Cardiff, isn't it? You know, England versus Wales, that kind of rivalry. Morrison being there, Romeo being there, Ojo, to get a win against them, 2-0 clean sheet as well, is more than I could have ever wished for, to be fair. So I'm very happy with it, happy with the performance. Lots of positives. Styles looks great. Shaq's looks great at right wing back. Suddenly we've got wing backs that can actually affect the game, which we haven't had all season. So I do hope Rarick sticks with them and for the Sunderland game and beyond. What's your thoughts to end that game?
No, I thought I pretty much echo what you said. I think, as you said, the wing backs seem to affect the game. Styles looks a pretty shrewd bit of business, doesn't he? Season long loan, and quick down that left. Got a lot of skill, pace, and just ultimately looks really secure on the ball. There was a couple of times where he glides forward almost. He doesn't. It looks effortless, and he's just sort of gliding left and right and beating his players well. And I think he's going to be massive this season for us. But yeah, really good win. That was us sort of looking back at Cardiff. Let's move forward now, I guess, to Sunderland. But we'll do that in part 2. So we're back after this. Welcome back to episode 13 of That Millwall Podcast 2022-23 campaign. Let's talk about Sunderland, Joe. They currently sit 8th in the Championship. 3 wins, 2 draws and 3 defeats, scoring 11 goals and conceded 9. Last time out was a 1-0 defeat against Borough on Sky Sports on Monday. What do you think of them coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all secretly felt that, under Alex Neil, they're going to do really well this season. They've signed some good players. They've got Ballard in and a few others to mention. And they started the season quite well, didn't they? Like you say, that they're sitting up there for a reason. 8th is a good position to be at this time of the season, with 7-8 games in. But one thing I did notice, obviously, is the fact that the fan base was very, 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 very disappointed to see Alex Neil go. Obviously, he's left for Stoke now, and I think the first game that he wasn't there, they're not losing to Borough, and I think they played quite badly as well from the sounds from what I heard. I didn't see the game myself, but just reading through news articles, they didn't play too greatly. So the question mark is, how they're going to play against Millwall on Saturday. We've got Tony Mowbray, who's now in charge of them. Still early days for him. He might be able to get a reaction from them against us on Saturday. It could work out pretty badly for us if they want to really sort of try to play to impress the new manager. But I'm hoping that the hangover is still lasting. They're still a bit down, a little bit upset that Alex Neil's gone, and it might take them a couple of weeks or a few games before they start playing to Mowbray's new system and the way he likes to play. On injury news, I think you picked up something else, didn't you? One of their players that's out.
Yeah. So Ross Stewart is out for 12 weeks. It was said today, BBC Newcastle. Probably their main striker this season, along with Ellis Sims, who obviously we missed out in the summer. Them two were really forming a nice partnership. But Stewart being out is a big blow. He's the one that sort of supplies the goals and sort of links up the play. So he'll be a big miss. There's also another player out for them who can't quite record moment. But let's talk about one player that is out. And obviously we all know him very well, don't we? Daniel Ballard, out with I believe it's a foot injury. So what do you make of that? It's not nice to ever see a player injured, is it? Especially when they play for you. But as it goes on Saturday, you probably would have put a 5 for him scoring, wouldn't you, against us if he was fit? So what's your thought?
Absolutely. I mean, I'd rather not see him than see him, to be fair. You're right. He's more than capable of scoring from a set piece or from a corner or a free kick. So it would be, it's a shame, obviously, to not welcome back at the Den again. But I would much rather him not be there than be there. One question mark is that, with these injuries he keeps having, obviously he had injuries when he played for us. I think it's like his second injury with Sunderland now since he's been with them. I mean, were we right to not sign him on a perm? I mean, did we kind of dodge a bullet there? Do you think he's that injury prone that maybe it worked out better for us in the long run? What's your thoughts on that?
I think probably looking at his injury record, he's had some quite long-term ones. I believe he had one Swindon before Blackpool, and he had a pretty long-term one there. He was pretty injury-free at Blackpool, came to us. He had a couple of injuries, didn't he, last year? He probably had expected maybe 2 that left him out for about 4 weeks at a time. And then now he's had a big one at Sunderland. So it does show there is an injury problem there. So we probably have, if you look at the stats and how much he plays, we probably have dodged a bit of a bullet there in terms of the fee we might have had to pay for him. But loved him back. I mean, ultimately, Dan Ballard was a fantastic centre back for us. But we've got a player in Charlie Cresswell now, haven't we? Who, for me, looks just as dangerous. I mean, he scored 3 goals this season.
Top goal scorer, isn't he? Yeah,
top goal scorer. So we can't argue with any of his. And he hasn't even played every game, has he? So
exactly.
No, it's exciting. But yeah, it's disappointing to see. You never want to see a player out, do you? A former player who did so well with you on loan. I think I don't know about you, and I'll maybe ask you what you think of this, but would you put Daniel Ballard in the category of a lone player that we sort of fell in love with, such as like Jason Malumbi, Chris Wood, them sort of players? Would you put him in that category?
I would say so. I mean, as you know, a little while ago, we did our own sort of favourite loans 11, didn't we? Millwall loans 11. I think if we did it again, I'm pretty sure that he'll probably be in that 11. There's not many defenders we've signed, centre backs in particular, who have really sort of shined for us and done quite well. So I would say that, yeah, he's definitely one that would stand out as one of the better loan signs we've had, done a good job for us. And it was sad to see him go. But obviously, it wasn't just our decision, it was his decision as well. And he decided to go to Sunderland, and a fair play to him. We wish him all the best. But, the question I'm asking is, now is to you, were we right to let him go and then sign Cresswell? Is Cresswell a better player than Ballard? And is Cresswell going to be more effective for us this season than having Ballard in the side? What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's really difficult to sort of compare the two, obviously, so early in the season. But I would say, obviously, Cresswell scored 3 goals. Ballard maybe scored 1 at this point last year. And Cresswell hasn't started week in, week out, has he? So when he does start, he looks really exciting. He's obviously a top player. And I probably would say we made the right decision signing Cresswell.
What about defensively, Kai? Who would you say is a better defender out of Cresswell and Ballard?
In terms of how defensively good we looked when he was on the pitch, I'd probably say Ballard looked more composed as a defender, like more headed clearances. But if we are looking for that balance this year, where we're trying to get our centre backs involved with passing, with scoring goals, but defending as well as they can do as well, I'd probably say Charlie Cresswell is more of the all-rounded player for us.
Yeah.
And I think he's a top signing for us. So yeah, I'd probably have to go Cresswell.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's unfair on Cresswell where Ballard's had the whole season to kind of show us what he can do. Yeah, and it wasn't a case of that every game he played was all glitz and glamour and brilliant. I mean, I'm sure he had some bad games for us as well. Whereas with Cresswell, I think he's been a bit unfortunate where he's kind of gone from hero to zero. Over sort of 2 or 3 games to start the season, where he's had a fantastic debut and then messed up in his second game. So let's make a judgment on him probably, halfway through the season where we get a better look at him. But I think potentially when you look at what he's about and what he can offer us and what he can give us as a ball playing defender, I agree with you. I think on the ball, I think he's probably better than Ballard. With the style we want to play of our football, hopefully he can join in a little bit more in the possession and in the football we're trying to play. I think Ballard was very suited to our defence last season because of the style we played in. Our defenders were what you call non-ball playing defenders, if you like. And it was all a case of defend, give it to Jed, give it to the pacey guys up front and let them, hit teams on the counter-attack. And that was kind of almost like the tactics then. Whereas now we're playing a slightly different sort of tactic, and we're trying to, keep the ball and harvest the ball a little bit more now, and try and get the defenders involved in possession as well. So hopefully he'll prove good for us, and he'll show us why we're outside to kind of go with him rather than sign Ballard on a perm. I know I think Mickey and Omar are going to talk about the Sunderland game a bit more in depth. I think the show's going to go out maybe We'll probably land in sort of Friday, I would have thought, to talk about the Sunderland game. But very, very quickly, before we end the show, what's your prediction on Saturday's game? I'm looking for a goal scorer, scoreline. You know, what are you going to go with?
I'll go for Sunderland 1, Millwall 2. And I'm going to go for Benikofobi and Fleming to get the goals. What about you, Joe?
Brilliant. It was interesting you said Fleming there. I've gone for Fleming for a 1-0 win. I just feel that he deserves a goal. He desperately wants a goal, needs a goal. I've seen little signs in him in his last couple of games where I just see him just slowly kind of engaging, getting into the rhythm a little bit more, and getting a real feel as to how we play as a team and stuff like that. And I think against Sunderland it'd be a tough game. I wouldn't be surprised again if they get more possession on the ball than we do. It'd probably be either a set piece or maybe a bit of brilliance. From Fleming, something at the edge of the box, a 25 or 30 yard, top corner. And of course, we'll then defend and try and see it out. I can't see a lot of goals in it unless it's Sunderland hitting 3 past us. But otherwise, I think it'd be quite a tight affair. So 2-1 or 1-0 will probably be a fair result. But I think we both agree that Fleming's due a goal. Hopefully, he'll get one this Saturday.
No, absolutely. As Joe just mentioned, Omar and Mickey will be back. As I think it'll probably land Friday morning, won't it? Early morning. So they should be back with a little Sunderland preview. Maybe they might even touch on the Cardiff game too. So check out for that. Thank you very much for listening, guys. This is episode 13. Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much for coming on, Joe.
Thanks, Kai. Yeah, cheers, guys, and cheers for everyone listening to the show. And obviously, it was a little bit last minute for me to sort of jump on tonight, and hopefully, we've given the audience something to kind of like think about and listen to. And again, if you've got any opinions, what we spoke about, please sort of enter the comments into the comment section or tweet us or whatever you want to say. Just be interested to get your thoughts and your feedback. But brilliantly, Kai, for hosting. I think you've done a grand job. Hopefully we get the win on Saturday.
No, definitely. Thank you very much for that, Joe. I appreciate that. And follow us on all social medias of that Millwall pod. I'll do a little plug like Mickey does. I know he loves the little plug at the end. So follow us on all social medias at that Millwall pod. Thank you very much for listening, guys, and we'll be back very soon.